Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and yesterday I did a video discussing ideal grips for the overhead press, and someone kind of chimed in and said, I don't like any sort of false grip or suicide grip on the bench press because I feel that squeezing the bar as hard as possible helps my bench press. So I can't really do it with that. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about the three basic types of grips that there are on the bench press. And I want people to understand none of these are right or wrong. They all carry their own potential perks. I think two of the three are better than the others for the majority of people, but they're not universally true, and that's what a lot of this comes down to. Individual bench press technique versus benefit, risk, all of that stuff. Now I'm going to use this silver crescent wrench mainly because you guys can see it very clearly. Over my black shirt, if I grab something darker it wouldn't work as well. But you have three basic types of bench press. You have obviously a lot of people talk about the suicide grip, which is the thumb under grip. So your thumb isn't wrapped around the bar, your thumb is back behind the bar on your palms, right? And you bench press. Now, a lot of people do that because the false grip, for the same reason we talked about on the overhead press, allows a little more free rotation of the elbow. Free rotation of the elbow, and that's actually a big deal. You know, I mean, again, people talk about things like dumbbells. That's one of the perks of dumbbells. Being able to rotate your hands freely can allow certain ideal leverages in different points in the range of motion. And being able to rotate the elbows like that, in theory, lets you tuck harder at the bottom and then flare out more at the top. So that again, near the top of the lift, you can get more tricep behind it so that you're stronger up there. Once you get the weight accelerated, you can lock it out harder because of that free rotation. So you can tuck more and you can get that tuck and then screw. So it's almost like a screw doing this. The false grip does allow you to do that a little bit better. It does allow you to do that a little bit better, which again can create certain advantages. It can be easier on the shoulder joints, but it also carries the risk of the bar rolling out of your hand, which can be problematic. There is always the risk there. Now that can be overcome to a certain extent with side spotters, using correct safeties. There are a lot of bench presses with safeties built in. All right, that is a good benefit to that. Now, a lot of people say, well, it could also get dropped on your face. If there's ever any risk of a barbell coming to your throat or your face on the bench press, you don't know how to bench press. All right, you've been watching too much bodybuilder crap that gets people hurt. And any of the bench press techniques in which the bar could ever get to your throat or your face are also incidentally very hard on your shoulder joints. So we're talking about when you're benching correctly, coming down to the lower chest and up, right? None of this stuff down here, which again is easiest on your shoulder joint. So there's a lower risk of injury all around. Another concept is to do a full over grip. You know, thumb over grip like this, like making a fist so that you can grip the weight as hard as possible, and it keeps everything in line, completely in line, come down, boom. But by gripping the bar, this is where we get into topics of neuromuscular efficiency. Some people find that gripping the bar as hard as possible, and that grip allows them to lift a little more weight. The reason behind this, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. I think one of the writers who really put it best, that is a popular writer, would be like Pavel Tausolin, wrote about this a bit, of it being, again, that splashover effect, that radiant effect, that when you hit certain muscles or force them to contract, they have a carryover effect. That really, when you think in a lot of terms, the idea of isolating muscles is really incorrect, because sometimes when you get other muscles involved in the nervous system, brings additional muscles and forces them to contract hard, it also forces muscles close by to contract hard as well. For example, the harder grip, right? The harder grip, it's like bracing your abs sometimes. Or that's one reason belts help people lift more weight. Pushing their abs against the belt can help them contract a little differently. It can be a splashover effect. So by gripping the bar harder, all these muscles in your forearm get more engaged. Well, they're right next to the tricep, and sometimes that can allow the triceps to contract harder and allow you to push more weight, right? That's the idea, at least, and some people can bench about 10 pounds or even more sometimes with that really, really tight grip, with a really tight grip. However, I think we could also argue it's also harder on the wrist joints in certain ways, and that's not always true because again with wrist wraps that becomes a non-issue. So I won't even throw that one in there. That may not be as big of an issue. Again, wrist wraps aren't expensive. A lot of people use them, and they help with aligning the wrist better for that sort of technique. It can be helpful there. But the downside, it does tend to lock you in more. It does lock you in more, and it might not allow for the best tuck and certain things going on with the shoulders. Now, there's an argument there that, again, that might not be ideal for the shoulders either. Not going to be as easy on your shoulders as being able to use the false grip, but you're also not going to risk dropping the bar on yourself, and you're going to have the added advantage of what? Potentially higher neuromuscular efficiency, particularly in your arms. As again, gripping a weight harder, or muscle fiber recruitment. Kind of the same concept of throwing away your straps. Again, that's one of the reasons there's this whole false idea that, oh, getting rid of your straps will let you lift more weight and be more developed. Well, the actual gripping of a bar harder for a lot of these exercises can prime the nervous system to contract various muscle fibers harder. So in theory, you might actually find you get better muscle fiber recruitment by throwing the straps away using this same concept. Now there is a third alternative, and this one is actually a very popular alternative, and that is to grip the bar differently. Because so far what we've looked at is just the thumb under, right? False grip or suicide grip. Full thumb over, making a fist and gripping as hard as you can. Your third option is this. See how I have this put at a diagonal here? What's going on here? What's going on? Well, by doing it this way, I allow the benefits of the suicide grip. There is a little more rotation allowed here. And allows you to pop out harder at the top for the elbows to come up. But notice something, if I grip it like this and I come in, I can still tuck my elbows, right? And if you grip the bar fairly narrow, when you come in and do this, there is still elbow tuck allowed. You just have to bring the bar slightly lower down the chest, meaning with this grip here, you get really easy tuck at the bottom, even a little higher up. But if you're willing to bring the bar not just to the nipple, which is what you can do with the suicide grip, but below the nipple down to here, with that grip you can still get that tuck, right? And that's what you're looking for, is to keep the elbows from going past 45 degrees at the bottom. You don't want them more than 45 degrees from the body at the bottom if you want to ideally protect your shoulder joint. So you can do it that way with this grip. You can come down, you got to come a little lower to get it perfect because you've got the elbow out. But then it allows, boom, watch the elbows at the top. They come out and they pop out harder at the top. That rotation that's involved right there allows a lot more tricep to continue to accelerate the weight when you get past the halfway mark. When you get into the middle of the lift, which for some people is where it slows down, and oftentimes that's because they press too slow off the chest, it allows the triceps to get a little more involved and to help finish driving the weight through. Again, and that's a good thing because you're taking one of the big primary movers, the triceps, and you're allowing them to get more involved to push the weight harder, allowing a little more recruitment of the triceps for the top half of the exercise. And that's a good thing for overall development because, again, if you're trying to get bigger and stronger through your whole body, getting those triceps bigger and stronger and more involved isn't a bad thing. It might save the amount of tricep work you have to do. If on all your presses you can get the triceps more involved, then it doesn't mean the chest gets involved less. That's the thing that people need to understand. That's why some people are like, well, I don't like chin-ups because they involve my biceps too much, but it doesn't remove back stimulation. If it allows you to lift more weight while using clean form because it brings other muscles into the equation harder, it's not taking weight off of the chest. It's not taking stress off the chest. It allows you to add 10 more pounds, right? It allows you to add 5 or 10 more pounds to the bar for the same number of reps because the triceps are working harder. The chest didn't get worked less. The chest got worked just as much, maybe even more because it had to take a slightly heavier weight coming out of the bottom, didn't it? Because that extra tricep involvement is to keep that weight moving at the midway mark. So that's also a viable alternative, and a lot of coaches teach this. A lot of coaches teach this grip here, and it's still good because, yeah, you're racked back a bit, but if you've got the bar lined up right, you are directly above the wrist bone. You're directly above the forearm, and if you keep the bar in the right path, yeah, if you try to bring it up here, it could be problematic, but if you keep the bar low and you keep that grip, the weight will be directly above the wrist because the weight itself is pressing harder here. So it's allowing you to rotate it, but the real brunt of the weight is right here on your hand. And if you look, that's directly above the wrist bone. So that allows you to use a grip like that that's easier on the wrist, easier on the shoulder joints, and incorporates some of the benefits you're getting from the false grip, maybe all of the benefits you're getting from the false grip, without the risk of the bar rolling out of your hand. It just requires you to adjust your technique a little bit. But that is my personal preferred method. And so if I had to pick between the two, I would either go with the thumb over the full hard grip as hard as you possibly can, or I would go with the grip like this. Now you can't grip it quite as hard, but I think still overall you get the additional tricep recruitment you're looking for because it allows more rotation of this. So again, it almost works like a screw. So you've got it out here, you're coming down, boom, down, boom. So they're like a screw coming in and out. And again, that allows you to bring a lot more tricep involvement into the second part, the final half of the lockout on the bench press. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.